Εξ ονόματος της Συμμαχίας των Φιλελευθέρων και Δημοκρατών.
Thank you, President, Commissioner. America and the EU face similarly large challenges when it comes to solving the economic crisis, and cooperation should be our intention to sustain this recovery. There is, however, a serious discrepancy between EU and US measures that is reason for concern. The US protectionist tendencies in its Job Act seem to block access to public procurement for EU-based companies. This is not only the concern of this Parliament, but also of a large amount of the US business community itself, who worry that the Job Act is out of step with a balanced US procurement policy and will undermine the US ability to grow exports and jobs through accessing foreign markets. Countermeasures may well be the result, such as we saw in 2009 from the Canadian side. Trade is needed for job creation, and trade is global. In global trade, the US should not alienate one of its closest partners, the EU. We both face the challenge of emerging economies and additionally have a number of opportunities, such as the development of a comprehensive transatlantic growth and jobs initiative, which would include plans for the removal of remaining non-tariff barriers to trade and investment by 2020 and to take steps towards the zero tariff levels of some product areas. Now that the Senate has voted against the Jobs Act in the US, this should be the moment for the EU to address some of our problems again. Can the Commissioner explain whether he sees a difference in the impact between Buy American and Buy America, respectively applying to public procurement on the federal and the local levels? These remarkably similar titles could easily confuse people. Is Buy America applicable to Canada and EU partners despite the WTO General Procurement Agreement, such as Canada and the US business community argue? Or is Ambassador Kirk right in rejecting these concerns? Will the Commission push for reciprocity in the public procurement rules between the EU and the US on both federal and local levels? The asymmetry between the US and the EU's access to markets is striking. I would like to learn from the Commission what have been the results of conversations with the Americans on this subject so far, and whether it proposes flexible rules or measures to put in place from the EU side should that be necessary. And I would also like to ask what this Parliament and the Transatlantic Economic Council could do to help the Commission sustain openness and global trade between two sides of the Atlantic. Thank you.
Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ, κύριε Σάκε. Ο κύριος Στούρντι τώρα έχει το λόγο από τους Ευρωπαίους Συντηρητικούς Μεταρρυθμιστές.
Thank you, Chairman. A lot of what I was going to say has been said. I totally agree with what Daniel said. We're at a crucial stage in the world economic crisis. The US has G20